Rich and Mike Show, Flagler County's hometown sports show. Here are your hosts, Rich Carroll and Mike Licio.
Yes, it's another episode of the Rich and Mike Sports Show. Good Saturday morning, Flagler County. And a good Saturday morning to you, Mike Licio.
Hello, Flagler County. Rich, last week I watched, believe it or not, about 30 hours of football over Labor Day weekend between Friday and Monday. And so you know what my life needs now? More football.
More football. You can never have enough football. And if you didn't learn that lesson from the summer, then I don't know if you're paying attention or not. You need football because when you have the summertime and and then on top of that, maybe your baseball team ain't so good. You just can't wait for the football to come back. And it was fun to have the high school football back and then the college back last week. We have the NFL this weekend, and we will be doing some NFL picks on the show today. So I wasn't as pumped up as you were with the 30 hours of the football watching, but I did put in some time, and I am pumped up, especially for Sunday. I will be super excited until about 1 p.m. when I get to see how awful the Jets will be this year, and Aaron Rodgers marches into that's a home game, right? Into the Meadowlands, yep. and just lets us have it. I don't know. I don't want to say revenge, but show us what we're missing because he was super upset, Aaron Rodgers, because the Jets apparently made him fly cross country for them to tell him they don't want him on the team anymore. So this is going to be his opportunity to say this is what you're missing this year. And if you're looking at how Justin Fields played in the preseason, the Jets will be missing a lot, at least in the passing game. So, but no, as far as football, yes, it is back. High school season in full swing as we just had week 3 last night with the Bulldogs and the Mainland Buccaneers. And we had the college football. I can't compete with that. 30 hours impressive, but we saw NC State. We were trying to get a look at Colby Cronk out there. We saw him on the sideline a couple of times, so congratulations to him. His first game with NC State, and there were a couple of other games. I was watching that Ohio State-Texas game. Interesting that Texas was ranked number 1 going into the season, and Ohio State put an end to that pretty quick. But, pumped up for football, man. Very excited.
Gabby made me turn that game off. It was 7-0 in the third quarter. She's like, this is why I love my daughter, because she's become an SEC elitist like her father, because she says, there's got to be a good game, like an SEC game that we can watch. And so I was very proud of that. We switched over to Tennessee Syracuse. So, Saturday morning, I got up way earlier than I planned to, and around 9 o'clock, I watched the FPC game because we were not at that game on Friday night. We were at the Matanzas game. Then I watched college football. I even watched the Pac-12 After Dark game. Dave Fleming, the voice of the San Francisco Giants, or one of them, he does those games with Brock Osweiler. And he says, it's not the Pac-12 After Dark because Pac-12 technically doesn't exist in this form. He said, but we all know it's Pac-12 After Dark because that was always the 9 o'clock game. That game, I think, kicked off at 10 o'clock Eastern. And then I watched a couple of college games Saturday. Sunday, I watched the Miami game, for example. That was a really good game. Watched the South Carolina game. Lenora Sellers is going to be a dude this year. I watched half of Bill Belichick getting his butt kicked. Loved that. I even watched 2 Canadian games on Monday. I watched Calgary and Edmonton. Former Menendez Falcon, local St. Augustine kid Kenny Logan plays for the Edmonton Eskimos. And then we watched Hamilton and Toronto. But I can't.
Toronto.
The Toronto Argonauts.
Wow.
So, we watched a lot of football last weekend.
You took a deep dive on college football last week.
I did, and I probably watched even more. You said Pittsburgh and the Jets it's an Aaron Rodgers revenge game. If there's anything I love and any term I love to use, it's the words revenge game. When France played Canada in basketball in the Olympics, I called it the Quebec revenge game. I'm a big revenge game guy. So, wow, this is a perfect segue because last night you and I attended what Coach Squatty Bell would call a revenge game. You might have heard the clip on the morning sports yesterday from Coach Squatty Bell calling it a revenge game. They called it the Get Back World Tour, and FPC was the latest on the mainland Get Back World Tour. They started 0-5 last year, and they were looking to avenge some of those losses. They avenged a loss to defending state champion Cocoa, beating them 19-14. They were up 19-0 in the second half against them. And then this week, FPC came to town and they were trying to avenge what was a thrilling. You say 7-2. That game doesn't sound like it was a thrilling game, but go back and watch it. That was a thrilling game last year, and Mainland was out for revenge.
Yeah, I find games like that really entertaining. Like you were talking about the Texas-Ohio State game. I love that, And then when Texas scores the late touchdown to make it 14-7, that's really exciting. So I like low-scoring, hard-hitting defensive games. I find that entertaining in the game of football. And, yeah, last year in what was one of the great seasons in program history for the FPC Bulldogs, really one of the most exciting things that I've seen at this level, covering it and doing the broadcast for over a decade on the radio. That FPC season last year was incredible, and one of the highlights of it was defeating Mainland 7-2 at home. Mainland at the time, if you remember, they were the defending state champions. They had won the state championship.
Yes,
the year
I
before.
remember.
Beating your Yellow Jackets, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Mainland, and now it was a transition year last year as well, right? Because Coach Rowland was out the door and Squatty was in there his first year. So obviously you had a transition period, and they were still a very competitive team, got in the playoffs. But for the Bulldogs last year to get a win at home against the state champions, against a team that's been, probably the best team in the area for a long time. I forget the number, but it's been a long time since Mainland missed the playoffs, right, Mike?
I was in 7th grade. 1993 was the last time they missed the playoffs. I'd been here in Florida just under a year, didn't even know what high school football was. They missed the playoffs. The last time they missed the playoffs was 1993, and I don't think this year is going to be the year that streak ends, and we saw it last night.
Oh, they look good. They look good. And so that was a signature win for that Bulldog team last year, and what was one of the great wins for the program ever. So, yes, I think that was a revenge game for Mainland last night, and they played a great ball game. They win it 28-7 over the FPC Bulldogs. Now, the Bulldogs, they competed for a half here. As a matter of fact, they led in the first half 7-6, basically all the way until the final minute when finally Mainland would take the lead, and really the rest of the game was all Mainland. But, FPC played a good first half. They had a great first drive where Birchfield looked incredible again. He was slinging the ball all over the place. He hits Jacob Ellie. What was that, a 35-yard touchdown?
34 yards, yep.
Yeah, so that was and that was as good a pass as you're going to see, because that was two guys out there. I think it was a zone, and he got it over the defender's outreached arm, and just over the fingertips into Jacob Ellie's hands for the touchdown. FPC up 7-0. They get the mixed extra point from Mainland, and now, both teams going back and forth a little bit. Bulldogs dominating time of possession, but not able to put points on the board. And finally, at the end of the first half, Mainland was able to make them pay for not scoring again, build on that lead. And they never really looked back after they went up 14-7.
No, and that's the thing when you're playing a team as good as Mainland, you've got to score points. And as you saw tonight, Mainland didn't score a whole bunch of points. They scored 28. It was enough. They had enough points to win. So that's something I think they're going to have to build on. We'll have to see what happens. Caden Birchfield left the game with an injury, so we'll have to see how that plays out as well. We saw Ladarius Simmons and Jason Ebding come in and fill in on the offense, and they ran the ball well, but, I always talk about Throwvember. For those of you who've been listening long enough, you're probably tired of hearing me say Throwvember. But Throwvember is what I call it. To win in the playoffs, to win big games, you have to be able to complete passes. And so, but that doesn't mean you have to hit those big 34, 35-yarders like Caden Birchfield did in the first half. You've got to be able to, on 3rd and 7, can you complete an 8-yard pass? And the passing game struggled in the second half. As much as, FPC ran for almost 5 yards a carry last night, and so the running game was going good. They just didn't have enough in the passing game. Nolan Caliendo had 13 catches for 172 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. This week he was held to 3 catches for 27 yards. They did a pretty good job of taking him away from FPC, but ultimately they had a lot of long drives that, like you said, they didn't cash in on. They had the ball for 29 minutes. They had the ball for 10 minutes more, almost a quarter more than Mainland did, but they just weren't able to. They struggled on third down, but on offense and on defense, Mainland wasn't bad. They were 4 for 10 on third down, but on those six fourth downs, they won for it on 5 of them and converted 4. So they were 4 or 5 on fourth down, and so that takes that 4 of 10, and now you're 8 of 10 on third and fourth down, and that's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, and that was the issue for the Bulldogs in the second half. They were unable. The offense was unable to really operate the way it was before when Birchfield got hurt, and they were kind of going between Simmons and Jason Ebding, and they weren't able to get anything going through the air. And to add to that, the defense just could not get off the field. That Mainland offense kept converting on these big fourth down plays. There was one, I think it was still a one-score game, where they convert on a 4th and 12, and then they're able to punch it into the end zone and go up a couple of scores. But then there was another one later in the game where, all right, you're on the fringe of being in it. It's a 3-score game, and they have a 3rd and 20 Mainland, and they get a low snap, and the quarterback fumbles it a little bit. Sebastian Johnson, he's able to pick it up and run for 8 yards, which gives them a 4th and 12. And I remember the broadcast, I said, well, we just saw them convert on a 4th and 13. Here we go again. And sure enough, they can convert on the 4th and 12, and they score another touchdown. So much talent on that Mainland team that we were looking at on offense. Aside from the quarterback, who was impressive, Sebastian Johnson, we saw Christian Cooper gets, I believe one of those big passes on 4th down was to Christian Cooper. He had a touchdown. I think Flores was another guy who was making big plays out there. The two backs, Josh Dudley and familiar face, Braylon Simmons, getting in on the action, making big plays out of the backfield. So, Bulldogs had a lot to deal with last night. As we said, Mainland's a program that has had this incredible sustained success. And there's just, there's something to say about sustained success. And they don't only make the playoffs. That's one thing. But they get wins in the playoffs. And they make playoff runs. It's one thing to make the playoffs, but eventually you'd like to see a win in the playoffs. And that's something that Mainland consistently does. And when you go out there and you see the talent that's on that sideline and they're usually well coached, that's just a tough group to deal with. And the Bulldogs coming off of a tough loss to Lake Howell last week. Now you have a situation where they've lost back-to-back weeks against teams that they did beat last year. So it's a tough go here for the Bulldogs after what was a great Potato Bowl for them, a great win over Matanzas. Their fortune has gone the other way since the Potato Bowl. But a tough couple of weeks here for the Bulldogs against Lake Howell, against Mainland. Hopefully they can turn it around and get back to their winning ways next week.
And Sebastian Johnson, numbers-wise, he didn't have a great game. He was 11 of 23 for 202 yards and the touchdown. He had an interception as well, which that interception was a tip ball. I thought Sebastian Johnson, some of the mistakes he made last night were kind of due to play calling. I thought that there was a disastrous goal line sequence there for Mainland in the fourth quarter that had some head-scratching plays because they had Josh Dudley, the big running back who came in for an injured Braylon Simmons, and he was just gashing FPC. I mean, he ended up with over 100 yards rushing, but then they, they got a little too creative there.
Yeah, they tried a trick play, right, and try to throw the ball. Meanwhile, this guy's running 10 yards a carry. And
on the first drive, he had 8 carries for 65 yards, and then they decided to throw it, and it ends up being tipped and picked, which was a great play by Josiah Hathaway, by the way, for FPC to get that pick. So, but that's a guy, Sebastian Johnson, who started a bunch of games. He's an experienced senior quarterback, and that's what you saw is that when It was 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 21. He picked up plays on a 3rd and 21. He got an 8-yard run. That doesn't get a first down, but 4th and 12 is a lot better
That's
than
what sets it up,
throwing
yeah.
an incomplete pass. Mm-hmm. And there were so many times where he made where, like I said, the numbers don't look good necessarily, but the decision making was there.
Right.
And and they were able to take advantage of FPC on that. Like I said, FPC didn't play bad defensively, but they just gave up plays at the wrong time. And that was part of the problem last week. They didn't play awful defensively against Lake Howell, but Lake Howell was able to do just enough, and then turnovers got in their way. So there's some things to clean up, but FPC, there's a long time left in the season, and Lake Brantley is usually a get-right team. So we will see what happens with them on the road. By the way, we will not have a game next week. FPC is at Lake Brantley, and the Matanzas Pirates, let's talk about them for a little bit, but they're at Andrew Jackson over on the north side of Jacksonville. So long trips in either direction, and we decided that's a good week to take off.
Exactly. Both teams very far away from home, so we'll take the bye next week, but we'll keep an eye on it, and you will have a Rich and Mike Sports Show next Saturday morning, so we will have that. Yeah, great game for against the Deltona Wolves for the Matanzas Pirates. Second week in a row that they put 40 on the board. So maybe the Pirates have something cooking over there. Another big game for Wiley Connor in the backfield. You got to love what you see from Cole Walker. He's and you were talking about this earlier. Daquan Evans had quite a career with Matanzas when you go back and you look at the numbers. So, and I give that a lot of credit to what Coach Forrest is able to do with some of these quarterbacks with the Detilio before Daquan Evans. But you're starting to see that here with Cole Walker, where it seems like Cole Walker gets it. And Coach Forrest, his coaching and his offense is really taking hold over there. And there's a lot of talent on the outside, when you talk about all the receivers that the Pirates have. And if you have a quarterback that gets it and can make the right decisions and the ability to deliver the football, they should have some success in Coach Forrest's system. And I think you're seeing that right now. It's an impressive 2 weeks for the Pirates.
And I just wanted to call out the News Journal here just because I love to give them a hard time. Chris Vanell, Chris Boyle, and Zach Allen, they do a great job. Zach Allen was actually with us at FPC tonight, or at Daytona Stadium for the FPC game tonight. He picked Deltona to win by 10. Chris Vanell said it's a true toss-up, but picked Deltona 28-27. And I guess that's the old gambling thing that, you get 3 points for being at home. That's what I'm assuming he went with there. And then Chris Boyle had Matanzas 24-21. It was nothing of the sort. Matanzas led the entire game. They were up 33-8. They were up 27-0, 33-8, and they finally finished up 40-14 against undefeated Deltona. So they are 2-1 headed to the north side of Jacksonville for that game. I haven't gotten a chance. I can't wait to turn on the tape later today and or tomorrow. I don't know when I'm going to watch it because there's football to be watched. But at some point I'll turn it on and watch it. And, I'm kind of sad, Rich. I don't have a game to prepare for next week. What am I going to do?
You'll probably be watching football.
I'll probably be watching football. I might get out to a few things. There's always other sports going on in the county. It's not just football. Volleyball is up and running. Matanzas is up and running with volleyball as well as FPC, who played in a tournament last week. There's some golf going on, some bowling going on. And one of the early developing stories here in the county this year is a golfer, a young lady, Sophia. I said, let me repeat your name so I don't mess it up, and then I don't even get into it. Sophia Stivic from FPC. She transferred. They moved here from Colorado. She spent most of her life in South Florida, made her way here from Colorado, but she is a young lady who's golfing and has eyes on a state championship. She had her third. I caught up with her at Grand Reserve on Thursday night. We sat there at the little bench outside the clubhouse. I'm a big fan of Grand Reserve. I don't think that matters to anybody here, but but she was disappointed when I talked to her because she shot 39, 3 over par, and she was disappointed because that was one of her worst rounds this year because she has been putting up at par and below par scores all year, and she has her eyes set on a state championship. And we sat on the bench and we talked about that. Sophia, let's start with today. How did it go out there on the course today?
Pretty good. I'm happy with what the results were.
So this is your first year at FPC, and I guess technically as a senior your last year at FPC. What's it been like being at FPC this year?
I've really liked it. I've liked, the staff, the teachers, and I've really liked the girls that I've been able to play with.
And what's it been like playing with those girls? Because a couple of them have been together for a while. Did it take some time to get acclimated, or?
I got settled pretty quickly, and I think we all kind of bonded quick, and we all really get along. So we build each other up, so it's really nice.
What are your thoughts on Coach Kleinfelder?
I love him. He's amazing. He's always got funny jokes, and he's good for encouragement for sure.
Other than a Gator fan, he's all right.
He's all right.
So what are you hoping to accomplish this season?
I mean, essentially to win states, that's definitely the goal, but just to do my best and finish out really well.
How'd you get into the game of golf?
My brother got me in. He played, and I tried to be better than him, so I took it up, and I stuck with it.
And now are you better than him?
100%.
How old were you?
I was 4.
4. That's awesome.
Yeah, 14 years of hard work now.
And what do you love most about golf?
The weather. I love being outside, and I love having nice environments to be around, and it's always beautiful.
What's your favorite course you've ever played?
PGA Nationals. It's up in North Florida. I love that course. I played super well on it, so go figure.
That always helps.
Just a little.
Now, what are you hoping to accomplish this school year off the course?
So my goal is to graduate early, and I'm just really shooting for that and just keep it at all A's for the year. I really like my classes, so I'm just really going for all A's.
And what are your plans post-grad?
Not 100% sure on that yet. Maybe something in school, maybe teaching pro, not 100% sure.
How cool would it be to share, as a teaching pro, you get to share your experience as a golfer, and how cool would it be to share that with others and be able to share what you've learned from this game with others?
I would love it. I mean, I've learned so much in such a great amount of time that being able to share that, I feel like would really not also help other people, but also help me become better as well.
And what's been your favorite thing about Palm Coast?
Honestly, I love the pace of it. It's a little bit slower, but I love it.
We didn't have golf at our school. We didn't have golf.
Yeah, we all love Palm Coast, and congratulations on the success. And Mike, I can't imagine picking up something at 4 years old and sticking with it for 14 years. That's just incredible dedication, and that's what the greats do.
And she is dedicated. She loves the game. She wants to teach the game. Although I think if I stood out there on the range and she saw my swing, she'd probably say, okay, I got to think about finding something else to do.
I can't fix that.
Right. I can't fix that. I can't deal with people who are terrible golfers like Mike for the rest of their lives. But very excited for her. You know, we've had some state champion caliber golfers in the county the last few years. Alexandra Gazzoli over at Matanzas, Carmela Carlisi over at FPC, you know, and so Sophia's the next in line. She said some nice things about Patrick Kleinfelder. I'm not sure that I would say nice things about Patrick, but he knows that. You know, Patrick and I go way, way back. I'm just kidding. He's a good dude. Don't tell him. Everybody listening, don't tell him.
Between us, yeah.
Yeah, you know. I can give you a Mike Licio fun fact about Patrick. You know how I'm connected to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So his wife's aunt worked with me for about 2 years at my current job when I first started.
Wow.
So yeah, but anyway, so
I need to have a sounder for that for the Mike Licio knows everybody.
Yeah, you may as well. and actually, that aunt, her aunt's grandfather, which I guess would be her. I don't know. I'm not doing all the great grandfather. However, it works out. Remember, we went to Clay High School. They named the field after him. Are you dizzy yet?
Yeah. It's is the show still going? What's going on here? Did we end the show?
I know. I get to, I get to rambling about the random connections in my life. It gets exhausting after a while, though. Honestly. Speaking
of which, not how you're exhausting, but how this is week 1 of the NFL season, and we're pumped up about it. We're going to try to do NFL picks this year. The Mike versus Rich NFL picks segment. We'll do 3 picks a week and tally it up at the end of the year, and maybe we'll do something separate for the playoffs. But our week 1 picks coming up after this.
Thank you so much for recommending us to your family and friends. When you need a 30, 60, or 90-minute massage, it's real easy to book your appointment online. MassageByNatalie.org. MassageByNatalie.org.
20 seconds to play.
Catch the NFL live all season long on Flagler County's Fox Sports radio station. Get all the Jacksonville Jaguar games live play-by-play. Thanks to Johnny D's Beach Bar and Grill, Arctic Breeze Air and Heat, Blinds and Plantation Shutters by Jason, Cash It In Jewelry and Pawn, Flagler Chrysler Dodge, Palm Coast Acupuncture, and the law offices of Katz and Green.
Right corner of the end zone.
WNZF 94.9 FM is Flagler County's official NFL radio station.
Rich and Mike Sports Show Saturday morning, and coming off of the big game last night, FPC falls to Mainland 28-7, and we have the bye week next week. We will be back on September 19th for Seabreeze at the Ship to take on the Pirates. Pirates won yesterday, dropped 40 again. They're 2-1 on the season. FPC Bulldogs are 1-2. I can get on here and talk about just the garbage I watched in the Bronx last night as the Yankees get smoked by Toronto again. That's one of those two-game swing things there where Yankees could have got within 2 games of first place. Instead, they're 4 out. Just more garbage from this team against other good baseball teams. They crumble when they see good teams, but we don't need to get into that. Mike, we have a couple minutes here. We have NFL football tomorrow. I am pumped up. Yeah, I'm going to do some imaging work this week. I'll get a sounder for this as well. We just decided right before the show, hey, let's do some NFL picks, and that's what we're going to do. So here we go. Here are my 3 picks. These are the picks I felt good about. I'm going to take the New York Giants plus 6.5 against Washington. I don't know if Washington is for real. All right, I know everybody can't. They love the quarterback and big year last year. Fall to the eventual champions. The whole thing, but I think the Giants are going to be better than people think they are, and I'm thinking Washington, who we talk about sustained success, been a long time since we've seen the Washington football team have back-to-back good years, so I'm going to take the Giants plus 6.5, and then sticking with the Giant theme as a Jet fan, Danny Dimes is going to get it done for the Colts. They're going to beat the Dolphins. I'm going to take the Colts minus 1.5 against Miami, and then I'm going to wrap it up with the Cincinnati Bengals minus 5.5 against the Browns. My logic with that is Cincinnati got off to such a slow start last year. It cost them the opportunity to get into the playoffs. They had a great second half, but that slow start really messed them up. I think they're going to learn from that. I think they're going to start fast. They're not playing a good football team. I think Cincinnati wins by at least 2 scores, so I take the Bengals minus 5.5. So I got the Giants plus 6.5, Colts minus 1.5, Cincinnati minus 5.5.
So I kind of zigged a little bit from there. The 3 games I went with, I like Minnesota. I like them minus 1.5 this week against – where'd it go?
Uh-oh.
Professional operation here. I scrolled past my pick. So Minnesota, I like them minus 1.5. Where'd it go?
Live radio. He's lost his picks. And we're down to 60 seconds, Mike.
This is awful. Oh, that's Monday night. That's why I'm looking for Sunday. I like Minnesota 1.5, minus 1.5 against Chicago.
Right.
I like Seattle.
Ooh.
I like Seattle plus 1.5 against San Francisco. I think there's an upset there, especially with McCaffrey being out. I was surprised to find that line where it was. And finally, New England versus Las Vegas, 2.5 points in Foxborough. That doesn't seem like enough. I feel pretty good about the Patriots this year. Not to be much better. So I'm going to take the Patriots minus 2.5.
All right, there you go. So New England minus 2.5, Seattle plus 1.5, Minnesota minus 1.5 for Mike Licio. Those are our NFL picks this week. We'll see if we can get off to a good start. Congratulations to the Pirates for their 2nd win in a row. We know the Bulldogs will look to bounce back next week as well. It is a bye week for our high school football broadcast. But the Rich and Mike Sports Show will be back 1 week from today. Have a great weekend, Flagler County.